So we're really, really excited for this incredible kickoff of our first Changemakers Summer webinar series. Today is the day. And let me just tell you, friends, it's hot. Today is going to be a hot session. We're steaming over here. The topic is listening, learning, and leading with impact. It's going to be chock full of helpful tips and insights. So buckle in, get ready. Okay, but we're not there yet. We're not there yet. We want to hear from you. Please go ahead and put in the chat what your name is, your organization, where you're zooming in from. We've got Lachelle, we've got Emily, we've got CF. Oh my goodness, CF. Buck Hamilton at Mandarin's Retreat in El Paso, Texas. We've got Terry here from Georgia. Marie, hi Marie from Empty Arms, Vermont, from Burlington. Oh, here we go. We have and we a whole already happening. Thank you for joining us. Like I said, we're just a minute in, so get you some water or tea, whatever your beverage of choice is. Be sure to go ahead, put your name, your organization in the chat. We want to connect with you. And listen, I just got to tell you, friends, we're going to be introducing somebody real special here in a minute. But listen, one of the best parts of today, one of my absolute favorite nonprofit donor relations expert, superstar extraordinaire, is here with us today. You know her, the great Lynne Wester. So I'm hyped for this session. We're going to bring her in just a moment. But first, let's go ahead. Before we dive in, let's get to know each other a little bit. Like I said, do introduce yourself in the chat. We want to welcome you warmly to our party. My name is Stephanie, your Give Butter host. I'm zooming in from the beautiful Mitten State right here. We got the little mitten happening, of course, that is Michigan, and we love it. And as always, it is a joy to learn and grow with y'all. I'm excited that you're here. And of course, as you're popping in here, we can just do a quick review of some housekeeping reminders. Of course, as always, the recording and slides will be emailed to you after the webinar. Have no fear, they are coming your way, my friends. Please do use the Q&A chat to ask your amazing questions, but keep the comment and the emojis rocking in the main chat. We want to hear from you. We want to engage with you there. And as you always do, Butterfam, keep the chat nice and respectful and kind. You always do. We never have to say it, but we say it anyway. Just a couple more hellos here. Valerie, hello from A Royal Place for the Carolinas. Beautiful. Lynn, nice to see you in the room. We've got Joanna here and Catherine. Erica from California. Oh, but I'm in Detroit, Michigan. Hey, Erica, we love to see it. I love to see the Michigan represent. That's great. Erica Jeffries, welcome, welcome. All right, friends. Well, now that it's a few minutes after the hour, let's go ahead and dive in here. So most of you in the room are probably already in the Butter fam. But for those of you who are not yet familiar with Give Butter, we are a nonprofit's all-in-one solution for your fundraising, donor management, and engagement needs. From donor forms, donation forms, and fundraising events to built-in donor management and marketing tools, we have everything you need to manage your organization in one legendary place. Pardon the pun. We are here to joyously help you move your mission forward. And on that note, we have some exciting platform updates to share. Okay, I've been really excited about these. Listen, we know you're already hard at work planning your fundraising events for the fall. I know I've been there myself, and your auction is going to be here before you know it. Give Butter has just launched 3 exciting new features that we have to talk about. The first is you can now record offline payments for your items like cash and checks. Okay. This has been a hot request ever since we launched our auction feature. So we're excited to launch this just in time for auction season. Declaring winners is also now easier than ever for the buy now item winners, and you can choose how you'd like to collect payment there. And lastly, you can set auction items as in person for view only. Oh my goodness, can we take a moment? Yes, making hybrid events is easier than ever with this. We love this. So these updates are live right now for all users. So check them out. Reach out to our 24-hour support team if you have any questions and enjoy that auction planning. I know you will. I know. It's one of those like side eye, don't let's not talk about auction planning right now because I'm in the heat of it and it's not fun. But it's going to be a good one. It's going to be a good one this year. And speaking of events, how about a sneak peek for an exciting feature that is coming soon? Okay, we hear this request all the time. Can Give Better help with table assignments? Well, the answer is about to be yes, my friends. Event seating is coming this summer, just in time for your gala, and it's about to make your party planning a whole lot easier. Guests will be able to pick their own seats when they buy tickets. And you'll have a visual seating chart that updates in real time as people RSVP. Can you even handle it? Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. We are in final testing right now, so stay tuned for this game-changing feature coming your way pretty soon here. How are we feeling about these in the chat? Can I just see anybody excited about these like event seating? And yeah, Stacy's like, awesome. Stephanie's like, yeah, I know, right? I'm so thrilled. Oh my gosh, I just can't even. I can't even with these. And listen, one more sizzling update to share here. Changemakers Summer is here. My friends, we are spotlighting the creativity, the hustle, the grit, the heart that changemakers like you bring to Give Better. Simply scan that QR code on your screen or visit the link in the chat that our amazing Brooke is going to share to explore fresh ideas, inspiring campaigns, and top resources shared by our community to fuel your summer goals. We even have a fun quiz and summer anthem that you can listen to. Be sure to check them out, my friends. We are excited. And today we are kicking off Changemaker Summer web series with the amazing Lynne. And speaking of, are we ready to get going? Because listen, I have been waiting all month for this. Let's introduce our incredible guest, the amazing Lynne Wester. For over 2 decades, Lynne has been a dynamic force in the fundraising world, redefining how organizations think about and engage with their donors. A bold believer that donor relations is the secret sauce to fundraising success, Lynne champions the idea that the donor experience should be just as intentional and strategic as the ask itself. Renowned for her ability to challenge the status quo in all the right ways, Lynne steps in when organizations are facing pivotal moments, whether navigating a crisis or seizing an opportunity. Her approach, smart strategy, authentic connection, and fearless innovation. As the founder and principal of DRG, Lynne leads a powerhouse team of experts who work with nonprofits of all sizes to transform their fundraising outcomes. A sought-after thought leader, Lynne's insights have been featured in the Washington Post, okay, Chronicle of Philanthropy, and Case Currents. She's the author of not one, not two, not three, 4 books, and a contributor to 2 more, and co-hosts the podcast, one of my all-time favorites, Fundraising is Funny, alongside T. Clay Buck, CFRE. Lynne also remains deeply engaged in the nonprofit world as a volunteer, board member, and passionate advocate for the transformative power of generosity. Oh, Lynne, you know how much we love you here at Give Better. Thank you for joining us once again.
Happy to be here. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be with you all today. So feel free to make sure that the chat is super active. Also, Stephanie and I hereby deputize all of you that if someone new comes in and says, are we going to get the slides? You all say you're going to get the slides. That way, Stephanie and the Butter crew and I don't have to be like, yes, you'll get the slides. So excited to be here with you. Drop your questions into the Q&A. Also the chat, whatever you'd like. We're going to engage with you. Right now, I'm in an airport sky lounge, so keep it clean so that the other sky loungers don't know what kind of photos you're sending me in the chat. DMs too hard. But I'm excited to be here for all of you and talk about listening to your donors. So, this is really about transforming your communications with your donors instead of always asking, really changing out into listening. And I know all of us that work in nonprofits are great listeners, but oftentimes we don't feel like we have the time to listen and we don't make space for it. But here's what happens when we don't listen is those folks that are out there, can one person can just randomly pop by after your event, or your executive director or your CEO or your VP says, "Hey Bob, how's the event?" Bob's like, "Oh, it was great, but I sure am tired of smoked Gouda." I mean, and then from 1984 on, there's been a smoked Gouda ban at your nonprofit, and you've never served it, but nobody can figure out why. It's because we took anecdotal evidence over empirical evidence. So today we're going to talk about listening to your donors. We're going to talk about surveying your donors and making that a common behavior. And so we have this lovely hierarchy of donor relations evidence. And notice at the bottom is good old Bob and his complaints about your smoked Gouda. Look, y'all, Bob hasn't been happy since 1974. Your smoked Gouda isn't going to make him happy now. So we're not going to use Bob as an example, and we're not going to base all our behavior on him. And for those of you on the line that are called Bob, I just pick a name each day at random. So Clyde, it could be your turn next. So watch out. Um, so, I know, poor Bob, right? Like, poor Bob, but that's okay because we're going to help him. So, before we listen to our donors, we've got to know where we want them to take us and what matters to us as an organization. So, we really need to understand, number one, what's one thing you want to learn about your donors? Now, notice I said one thing. I can't fix everything, and they can't give you their opinions on everything because remember, you're fundraising professionals. So keep reminding your board that you're an expert. Keep reminding your volunteers that, hey, just today you figured out you knew what you were doing. Kind of like when the pilot on the plane later is going to say to me, "Hey, it's my second day. The first day went well. I decided to come back and do it again." And I'm like, "Right out, man," because we all know the computer flies the plane anyway. But what's the one thing I want to learn from my donors so that I can change my behavior with the donor experience? What kinds of donors am I targeting? And let me give you a hint here. It's not the ones that you've had for the last 40 years. It's the ones you want to have in the future. Because remember, here's a truth about your donor pyramid. We love them. We need them. And your best future donor is the one you already have. But as my first vice president told me a long time ago, the top always dies. So death is a certainty, unfortunately. And we need to know that you need to constantly regenerate donor base and retain the ones you have. Otherwise, there'll be a day when you don't have them. So, all donors, not a segment, right? And look at Joanna. I am going to send you a badge, Johanna. You have made my dreams come true. Just keep cutting and pasting. Keep cutting and pasting, girl. And here's the thing, we're not going to ask our donors for feedback if we don't know what we're going to do with the information we get, right? So we got to have a plan. So we want to be thoughtful with these communications because it's very interesting. We all in nonprofit fundraising thinks that the most precious thing that our donors have is their money. Aha. Not true, my friend. Not true. It's my time. What are you going to do to pry me away from my Love Island USA? And I'm not caught up yet, and don't ruin it for me, so that I can spend time with you. Because I'll give you $50 so that I can watch episode 32 and see what Ariana Madix is wearing this week, okay? And if you don't understand those references, insert Real Housewives or whatever trash TV you enjoy. I love it, okay? It's summertime. It is time to let my brain go. So we're going to do a little fun chat activity. When's the last time or how often do you invite feedback from your donors? Let me know. Like, was it last week? Yeah, I see a lot of nevers. Girl, seldom. 2 years ago. After every event, I saw one. I'm not sure we ever had. Bless it. That's what we say in this house. Some of you are doing it. And some of you are like, ooh, oh, this morning. All right, Tammy's waking up surveying donors in the morning, right? Most of us aren't getting feedback from our donors enough, right? And so understand that inviting feedback from your donors is one of the most strategic things you can do. In fact, there's even an old adage: you want advice, ask for money. You want money, ask for advice. I'll tell you, a nonprofit that I give to very deeply for the last 12 years, Charity Water, they uh, have deeply engaged me, and they created a new like non-cash giving guide for their donors. And they sent me an email, my friends Abby and Case, the two folks that help manage my giving at Charity Water, and they said, hey Lynn, check out our new non-cash giving guide. It hasn't gone public yet, and we would love to get your feedback as a fundraising expert on this piece. Y'all, I did not run fast enough to set up a Zoom with them, because like they pretended they actually cared what I thought. Turns out they actually did, but that's neither here nor there. It was the flattery of being asked for my opinion, not just my money all the time, right? So remember, this adage is true. And how do I know that this is true? You cannot breathe near a corporate entity these days without them sending you a survey, right? I mean, Pizza Hut wants to know, right? And yes, I ate Pizza Hut. No judgment. Every now and again, you got to live that book it life, or that personal pan pizza that you hit a bunch of Goosebumps books for, and you loved that. So yeah, book it. Yeah, I'm a chubby girl, man. Book it was life. Okay. So all these companies survey. You know why they survey? Because it works. I can't even step off my Delta plane today before they're like, how are the almonds? And I'm like, they weren't peanuts. And they're like, how are the new recycled cups? And I'm like, I don't like them. I appreciate the environment and everything, but I could taste the paper, right? So, yes, I'm glad I'm unlocking core memories for y'all. But if companies, the ones with tons of buku bucks, are doing the survey, hey, nonprofits, take a hint. We might want to do that as well, right? So that means that if it's working for them, it's working for us. In my mind, there's no such thing as survey fatigue. Literally, I stay at hotels 300 nights a year, 300 surveys I get. You know why? Because each experience is different. And sometimes I don't have anything to say, and sometimes I have a lot to say. Asking helps you move from being an intrusive part of someone's life to inviting them into your community. I feel like I'm a part of the Delta community when they ask my opinion, rather than just somebody who they want to know, right? They're not bothering me. They're saying, you actually matter to us, and we want to know that we're listening, right? Now, this may be a couple of your board members, it may be your supervisor, it may be a coworker. This is what I hear all the time when I start li- building up listening. And here's what I hear from people: we're not going to survey our donors. What if they say negative things? Or we are not going to survey our donors. I don't believe in that. We know what we're doing, and the donors can't tell us anything. Stop calling it surveying and call it listening. I'm listening to the people that believe in me. Now, Rebecca, here's what I would do for your phone calls, emails, texts about your colonoscopy. Thank them for the propofol and keep it moving, because there is no magic sleep like propofol. I'm not going to say something inappropriate here about Michael Jackson, but he knew what he was doing. As a person who enjoys a propofol nap every now and again. But yes, understood. They may be being a little aggressive in their surveying, but Rebecca, you know that sleep was good. And Tarika, maybe it's Tarika, maybe it's Tarika. I can't do stand up because I have self esteem. Doesn't work. So you get a complaining donor on your survey. That's okay. You fix that complaint, you got retention. That's what it is. Because people that give you complaints, most of them, except for Bob and that damn smoked Gouda, I'm never forgiving Bob, right? most of the people that give you complaints care enough about your organization to tell you. So let's take it like this. We all have a group of friends. We are at dinner. This happened to me last night. We're at dinner with our friends. I was at dinner with three gentlemen, a business dinner, but they're friends as well. And one of them had a little kale stuck on his cheek. And albeit I'm always the girl, I'm that girl. I'm going to tell you, you got kale on your cheek now. And I was like, hey, hun, you got a little schmata on your face there. Little kale Caesar got aggressive with your mouth. And he's like, oh, thank you. That's being a friend. If I didn't care, I would have let that man walk around with kale on his cheek. That's the same way I treat companies and nonprofits. If I care enough to tell you you got kale on your teeth or in your cheek, that means I love you. Now, sometimes I'm just miserable. So I just need somebody to take my rage out on, but I try not to do it on nonprofits and try to do it on like screaming kids or something like that. Like when a kid screams at me in an airport, I just scream right back at them. It's really effective and it stops them from screaming. So shocks them into panic. So rock on. So here, I'm going to lay it out for your leadership or your board that doesn't want to survey. Oh, so you don't want to listen to our donors. Replace the word survey with listen. It tells you who your donors are rather than just assuming. It tells them what programs or beneficiaries they care about because you're assuming right now. And I don't know about y'all, but I'm from the South and we spell assume in a certain way. And you know what that means. It'll tell you whether they're satisfied with you or not just some donors, but the ones who care enough to give feedback. You can think about their interests. And y'all, I get it. You're like, I don't have time to do extra segmentation. Well, if I buy something on the internet and I buy it 3 times, the store now knows that's what you like. So now they target me. And why can't we do that? Do you know what I mean? So which ones are good? Because if I'm engaging enough to take a survey, oh, that's somebody that's ripe for an upgrade. That's somebody that's ripe for some interaction. And who might be a prospect short term and long term? You don't know what's in here. It might be a surprise to find out, but it's ginger ale. I wish it could be something spicy, but it's just some ginger ale. I got to behave for like another 39 minutes. Okay. So we've got our benefits from surveying, right? We also need to know how to do it. Well, first of all, we need to make sure that they understand that we want to hear from them. This is the front of a postcard and the header of an email I sent out for a university client that said, we'd like to hear from you, right? It doesn't need to be like, give us qualitative feedback on our latest initiative. I literally get those surveys and I'm like, what corporate suit wearing, double Windsor not having, loosen the strings, y'all. It needs to be about them and what's in it for them. It was Bob. It was Bob, Rebecca. Poor Bob. If he's on this, he is not going to be, he's going to be struggling. So my company, we have the privilege to work during both crisis and opportunity. 2 years ago in August 8th, unfortunately, fires struck Maui in Hawaii, and the Community Foundation reached out to us, and we've been working with them with Give Better as our partners for the last 2 years. And we created an entire first-time donor retention strategy. And one of the first 3 or 4 emails that we sent, now they received over 400,000 new donors to a community foundation. So the Texas Hill Country Foundation is going through probably the same thing right now. And we needed to learn about our donors. So we sent out a survey, but we sent out a survey and we made it about the donor. So first thing, it says your voice matters. Not help us, it's what's in it for me, the recipient. So your voice matters was the subject line. We sent it out and we just asked them 3 simple questions. How satisfied are you about the updates that we've sent? What topics do you want to hear about? Because as you can imagine, when a disaster strikes an area, there's lots of things to discuss. How do we know what they want to hear about? And then finally, how often do you want to hear from us? Now, a couple of survey rules. Question design is a thing. There's actual whole people with PhDs. I've taken classes from them. that will tell you how to design surveys. What you'll see in question number one is something called a Likert scale. That's Likert for those of you chat GPTing and Googling right now. I'll type it into the chat for you. It's not do you like our updates, it's how satisfied are you? Thank you, Lachelle. I do love a Likert scale. And so that gives you a range, and then you can range the answers on that. Same thing, we drop down to what topics, and then how often. Here's the art about the how often. If you can't do one of those options, please don't list an option. Don't be like every 32 seconds, I'd like an update, if you can't give them an update every 32 seconds. So we know what we were putting out. We didn't know these donors. They were all like out of the 400,000 new people that came in over 3 months, maybe 1,000 of them were previously known to the Community Foundation. They'd never dealt with a fire disaster before, so we didn't know what topics people wanted to hear about. And then finally, we, the experts over here, we thought, we're going to set up a cadence where we're going to talk to them about once a quarter. That's what we thought, A, we could pull off, and B, what we thought donors usually want to hear from. So along went the survey. 3 massive questions. Again, if you're sending a survey with more than 10 questions, I don't even know if my mama would take that, except to complain that it has more than 10 questions. She's got things to do. There's water aerobics and romance novels in her future. You know what I mean? So, number one, the first thing we discovered is that the number one issue people wanted to hear about is natural and cultural resources and housing. Obviously, there were over 3,200 families that lost their primary source of housing in the fires, and they wanted to hear about the updates, especially in a tight housing situation. And then the natural resources, what was going to happen to the debris? How was the island affected? And so we were like, all right, because again, we didn't know. So then we had our clear direction about what kind of stories we were going to tell. The second thing, and the thing that blew my mind, is how often would you like to receive updates about the Maui Strong Fund? Lord, don't you know these people are trying to put us to work? Monthly was their number one response. I was like, Lord, let me get out my computer and start writing stories. And so we really wanted people to have stories they wanted. So that meant we had to crank up the content machines. Now, Tammy asks a great question that I'm going to answer live. She said, I was taught to use an even number of criteria to avoid the easy middle road. Good idea. Actually, the Likert scale, I'm going to show you. So do you see the option that says neutral? Somewhat interested, the neutral is what I call the meh response. That is MEH apostrophe. That's a technical term. For those of you who don't know, here's the thing in life. That's right, Stephanie, meh. Here's what I know about myself. I am not everybody's cup of tea, but I am someone's shot of tequila. And I live in either the you love me or you hate me. But if you rate me meh, I have done something wrong. And that is the same in fundraising. Neutral answers are a strong indicator that I have not gotten you to care enough one way or the other. So that's neutral is danger zone in nonprofit communications land. Okay. I love that y'all love a cocktail too, or a tea, or something like that. So I do a meh option because that tells me that the people doesn't care. And to Johanna's point, neutral also means that they don't know if the question resonates with them or they know, which is why I like when I get my Delta surveys, they're like, how's the food? And I'm like, honey, I was knocked out by the time the plane took off, NA, right? But you should know your satisfaction with whether you've received our communication. So that's my option. Yeah, the NA can be important if it's applicable. only if it's applicable. So, love the question. Great question. We're going to move forward here. This is a same kind of snackable survey that I've received from Charity Water. I want to show you real examples. And I also want you to show you the language that's coming with these. We've put your money to work in the field, and now we want to know what you think. Your response will help improve our supporters' experience, right? So again, what's your experience? What did you like or not like? And do you want to do this all over again? Want to go on another date? That's really, it's so important, right? And so we really want to really think about that. And Bailey breaking it down with the positivity bias research science psychological thing, explaining my meh comment as being neutral, and also a net promoter score neutral is negative. So you got it, Bailey. See, I don't know why I do these webinars. There are people much smarter than me. So, and we do love snacks. So again, how do I listen to my supporters? How do I let them know that I care and don't care? Now, here's the important thing to note. Well, good old Bob comes wandering onto a survey like this, and he looks at that box of, you know, free text, and Bob is like, let me tell you my least favorite part. In 1984, I went to an event and there was smoked Gouda. And Bob seems to tell you for 6 more paragraphs until it runs out of characters that he is adamant that we never serve smoked Gouda again. That's a non sequitur response, Bob. We appreciate that you are not having a good day and somehow smoked Gouda or Howda has wronged you, right? But we're going to bless that and we're going to release that. Sometimes people use surveys, but we're going to read it because there may be an underlying issue where Bob just might need a hug, right? And so we need to figure that out because Bob took the time to tell us about that howda and how it damaged him. So we really, yeah, Noel, or maybe some tequila, right? Here's another example. Again, I'm showing you other nonprofits that are doing this. So here's the thing. There's 1.9 million nonprofits in the US alone, blah, 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 certain pot of money, Giving USA, da, 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 da. And for my friends outside the country, anybody offering citizenship? I live in the Cayman Islands. I'm always looking for the next place. I saw there was a New Zealander on here. I'm headed to you next. There are other nonprofits that are doing this. And part of the good donor experience is that you care about me after I make my gift. Seth Godin calls it the purple cow. And if you don't know Seth Godin, brilliant man with little glasses, right? Team Rubicon is someone I look up to. It's someone I give to. As you can see, I made a gift, so they want to know, right? And so again, 3-question survey. Now theirs has my sense of humor. So it's like, what are your preferred channels? And they're like, text, don't worry, we won't send it to you at strange hours, which I'm like, well, I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to that. And then on number 2, it says, which are your preferred? It says, I'm old school, send me a printed report. Again, really great way to showcase personality in a survey. And so again, consistency is key. So I see in the chat and in the Q&A, I hear our survey response rates are poo-poo magoo. That is a technical term for less than 10%. That's because you haven't been consistent. You haven't conditioned your audience to, number 1, know that you care what they think. And number 2, follow up with what the results of the survey were and give them that feedback. So for example, after we did the Maui Strong survey and we found out they wanted to hear from us monthly, we created an Aloha series, which was an abbreviation for Hawaiian values. And in the first email we wrote, based on your survey responses, we created this series that'll be monthly. At the end of the survey, of the series, there'll be another survey, right? And we want to hear from you. And our stories are going to focus on housing and the environment with smatterings of the other things you said. So we told them directly what we did as a response to their survey. So if you had received Bob's survey, you would post an announcement at the front of every event saying there will be no smoked Gouda entering these stores. Be it herefore known, smoked Gouda is forever banned. By the way, can you imagine being a nonprofit professional and walking in the door of this webinar like 32 minutes too late and wondering what the hell my problem with smoked Gouda is? Just for a record, I love all cheese. Cheese is cheese, so cheese should be eaten, right? So consistency is key. So you can survey based broadly, you can survey based on little things. So every single time you have an event, you should survey your attendees who RSVP'd yes. You should survey the people who showed up without RSVPing and ask them why they have no home training. You should survey the people that RSVP'd no, because that is an indication of engagement. You should survey people who didn't RSVP and ask them why they're not attending. Every single segment should have it. And we do that every single time within 48 hours of the event. Every single time. I'll tell you who I learned the most from, my non-attendees. Some people just aren't event people. Look, you want me to put on Spanx and leave Love Island USA and my Pizza Hut delivery, obviously, to go to your event, drink somewhat marginal Chardonnay and have smoked Gouda? Not happening. Little cubes. I mean, is cube cheese ever the answer? Probably not, right? Consistency, though. Every time I have an event, every time we do a big new initiative, am I doing a capital campaign? And response rates will grow over time, right? Yeah, I am Team Amaya Papaya, by the way, in case you haven't noticed. Amaya and I are quite similar, except in our physical appearance. Yeah. Anyway, Jason asks, what's your response rate? Jason, I am looking for something that is meaningful and significant, right? And that could be 10%, that could be 30%. But I'm going to give you a rule from my prior career a little bit later about feedback. Now, look at this survey. This is the Barbara Bush Foundation for Family Literacy. I am not discussing politics. I am using this as an example of a nonprofit who sent a survey. Period. America, calm down. So the Barbara Bush Foundation for Literacy, look at this. It's a foundation for literacy in kids, right? So they've got kid with their ears out listening. Look at this. As we've been working, we realized that something was missing. You, as a supporter of the foundation, you're critical to us, meaning I need you. We can't do what we do without you. So we created a brief 5-question survey to find out what you think. Will you help us? And so Julie says, is there such thing as survey participation burnout? Does participation reduce with too many surveys? Is there a sweet spot? Julie, I'll never get tired of this, and I don't even like children. No offense, they're just not my jam, right? So I'm just saying, exactly, Katie. But if you're sending me a thing that says we need to change our, Bob ruined our event, click here and take the survey, I'm not taking that damn survey. I don't care about your rebranding initiative. I don't care about all that stuff. Go with your cause. You have great causes, right? Do something that's different. Look at this. So then it goes on. The amount of communication I receive is, look at the damn options. Again, kids ain't my jam. You put puppies on here, or, hot pilots, since I'm in an airport, just saying. Figure out your audience, figure out what they care about, right? Exactly. Of course it's amazing because somebody said, look, if we're going to do something, we're going to do it all the way. I'm not just going to slap a link to Qualtrics up there and call it a day, right? Also, now y'all make me want buttered corn or the Mexican street corn. Thank you for that. Now I'm going to have to hunt in the DC airport and look for some elote because it's got cheese on it too, right? Look at this. What was my primary reason to get involved? Right? It doesn't have to be, I wish I had thought of this, right? Elote. Guess what goes with elote? Tequila and lime and other fun things, but just saying. Look at this. They got a theme there. Why'd they join your organization, right? What does that look like? Exactly. So there's lots of ways to do this, and it is not more advanced. Well, if you have basic survey, basic anything, my friend, is not going to get you what you need to go, Tim. I'm just going to be honest. You can create images in Survey Monkey. I've done it. Oh, hi, Brian, my Disney College Program alumni and former Mouseketeer. Vista Way forever, by the way. But anyway, I'm sorry, squirrel. Um, there are survey softwares out there. You can also build this into a Google form. What you have to do is be consistent, be totally reliable, and figure out what you need to do this, right? Again, notice if we go back to the beginning, how many questions? 5, not 42, not everybody trying to jump in the pond and figure it out. And they're trying to figure out certain specific things, and then they will report back on it, right? So, Roxana, to your point, transparent is absolutely important, right? So, we want that to be really intentional, and we want people to know that we have put thought into this. So, a lot of people say, well, okay, great concept, Lynn. We're listening. What kind of segments should I apply it to? My first and most important segment is what we did with Maui, which is your first time donors. Y'all, I give to lots of different organizations, and I'll give and I don't hear anything. And it's like the crickets have come with the locusts, and they've formed a community, and they're just making that damn awful noise. I don't hear anything until they want more money from me. You ain't getting it. And you're especially not getting it if the email starts, "Dear friend." We are not friends. We have not shared beer or queso, right? You have to do something in between the first gift and the next ask. And according to data, we need to thank the donor 7 times, according to Penelope Burke, and we need to tell them what their money did. Well, survey is one of those things you can do, listening to people and pretending to care what they think, right? Now, what we want to be deliberate about is that each communication has one concept. So, a thank you is a thank you, a survey is a survey. So, you'll notice if we go back, this is a communication just about the survey. Same thing, Maui, same thing at Team Rubicon. It's a survey invitation. It's not a survey invitation, a thank you, an invitation to a potluck, an ask for a silent auction item, and oh, hey, do you want to sit on the board? Right? Not all that. One communication, one purpose. And I know Stephanie and my team are going to get to Dana's question because I actually don't know the answer off the top of my head, but we're going to think about that together, right? So, one audience that I love, love, love to survey is my lapsed donors. Now, I know this is from our friends at Bloomerang, and Give Butter and Bloomerang live in the same ecosystem, but that's okay because we all love each other. But I also like to cite my sources. So we're going to make one of these for Give Butter and just put butter all over it, which will make it smooth, right? This is for lapsed donors. So what do I consider a lapsed donor? Somebody who hasn't given in about 18 months. Because nobody told donors they need to give every year, right? So I asked them, hey, why did you not support us anymore? Like, did somebody send an offensive tweet? I'll tell you the number one reason why donors don't come back. You ask for too much money too often. Resolicitation is the number one retention killer. So for first time donors, this is the kind of journey I send them on immediately or within 72 hours. Because, like on Give Butter, I send all our receipts from Maui Strong immediately the moment the transaction's gone through. Then within about 7 days, they get an acknowledgement, right? Then they get a postcard. Now, I love a postcard. Postcards are everything. Postcards are direct mails like sexy junior cousin. They're cheaper. You only have to print them once. They carry QR codes. They make you be good editors. Postcards are Instagrammable and put on your fridgeable. You don't have to open an envelope and try to break a nail because nail game strong, y'all. Just saying, postcards heavy lift. And then I might send a thank you video. I might don't all ages of donors, Lynn spelled correctly, love them. Okay. And then I might send a video. I might send an e-card. I might send a text. Hey, if I gave online on my phone, guess what? I also accept text. And for all those of you on Love Island, I got a text. Do you see how excited they are when they get a text? That's how I feel when nonprofits text me to tell me nice things, not just ask me for money. I got a text. Then I'm going to send them an impact report, tell them what we did with their money, and then I'm going to ask them for money. And if you can condense this timeline, great. But if you don't spend my money and you come asking for more, no, nah, that is a violation. And Noah, I am here to empower you on Canva. I am here to empower you with PS Print or whoever will give you a coupon that day to give you 5,000 postcards for $82, if you know what I mean. You don't need fancy things to do postcards. And here's my favorite thing about a postcard. Let me show you. So a postcard, if we go back, sorry if I'm going to make some of y'all a little nauseous. This is the front cover of a postcard. And the back of it is the text. Well, then now I've got my email written. I just dropped the postcard image at the top and the email text at the bottom. There you go. Really simple, right? So you don't even have to design it twice. Okay, so first time donors, great group. Lapsed donors, welcome back. Here's what happens. Y'all, that is actually me in a Muppets t-shirt in Hampshire, England this May. That is me. Yep. Notice nail game still strong. That is Ryan, my archery instructor. We hung out in the countryside of England, my best friend Angie and I, before a conference we did in London. And we decided to take archery classes to pretend that we were Robin Hood. Yes, I'm wearing an eye patch that's leopard because apparently I had my left eye was trying to be dominant and she needs to calm down. But Ryan, the most patient instructor in all of England, in his beautiful accent, was saying to me, and this is important for all of you. Also, Richard Gere was at my hotel hanging out and we had tea together. He doesn't know that, but we're now besties. Here's what he told me. It's not about the aim. It's not about aiming. It's about setting yourself up for success in the way you stand, in the way you hold the bow, in the way you load the arrow. It's not about aiming. Like aiming wasn't even the jam. I hit the bullseye without really even aiming. And yeah, I got 2 bullseye out of, a good 60 arrows before I was like, screw this, let's go put vodka in our gin in our tea because we're in England. So we were doing culturally things. What happens at our nonprofits is that often we get stuck in the aim mode. We want to do something, but we get analysis paralysis. Y'all, sometimes you just got to fire the bow, let her rip, as our friends would say, right? Surveys give you the empowerment to let it rip and then get feedback. Let it rip and then get feedback. The target will tell you whether you miss or not. And here's the great thing about fundraising, y'all. Unlike archery, you let it rip and you miss, nobody dies. I may or may not have accidentally hit a big bale of hay over to the side and may or may not have gotten an arrow stuck in a tree. It's fine. It's fine. He tells me it happens all the time after I gave him the tip. So the cash tip, not other tips from the arrow. I didn't hit him or my friend Angie, you'd be happy to know. You got to take risks. The thing that these nonprofits are doing is I'm taking a risk by listening to my donors. Imagine that. I'll tell you the biggest risk you're taking, not listening to your donors, not asking them what they think. Now, I'm a child of the 80s, as some of you may have noticed from my references. In the 80s, I would watch the Winter Olympics and figure skating, particularly. I actually had a Dorothy Hamill haircut, if you know what I mean, that thing. Yeah. And then I ruined it when I cut my own hair. My mom cried. It was a long story. Anyway, figure skating. Some of you will get this AI generated image and some of you will not get this AI generated image. My children of the 80s, pop it in the chat if you know what I'm about to say. When figure skating was judged in the 80s, they all had scores go across the bottom of the screen and the girls and the boys would cry and things like that. And they always, throughout the Russian judge and the Canadian judge. Now, if there are any of my Canadian friends on, you'll know why. Because the Canadians gave you the highest score and the Russians always gave you the lowest score because that was the 80s. Exactly, Lynn spelled correctly. And so here's the thing you have to do with your feedback. You got to throw out the highest score and throw out the lowest score. So there's always going to be a complainer and there's always going to be a huge fan. Love them, but they got to go, right? So you got to bless and release it. Yes, that was the USSR back then, Jason. So I will allow your hilarious comment. And if some of you think he's being mean, he's not. It was like an Olympics thing. So please don't think Jason is not being appropriate in the chat. But throw out your high score, throw out your low score, and live in the middle. Okay. Feedback from one person shouldn't dictate your behavior. But look at y'all. You're tired. This is us on a good day, head in the water, just trying to cool off, y'all. And so let me also give you this. In a previous life, I worked at Disney, not just as a college program, but I had a whole career and I thought I was going to work for the rat forever and everything. At Disney, they teach you amazing things there. I have a doctorate from the Disney Institute. And one of the things that you learn is that we don't make a change at Disney. If we change something, if we alter something and people complain, we don't make a change until 10% or more of the guests complain. I want you to hear that very clearly. We don't make a change until 10% or more of the guests complain. So some of you know that Disney loves to make popcorn. If they took away the popcorn carts on Main Street, I guarantee you people would be lining up going, where the hell's my popcorn, right? Do not make a change at your organization unless 10% or more of your donors complain about the change you've made. So let's say, for example, Bob's gotten to leadership and we stop serving smoked Gouda and we survey our donors and we get 1,000 responses. That would mean 100 people would have to complain about absence of smoked Gouda in order for us to bring it back. Oftentimes at nonprofits, one person or two board members or somebody who's just not a nice person, frankly, just needs to take a bath in this pool will make a complaint. We will change all our behavior on this. It's bullshit. I'm just going to be honest, right? So we've got to let that go. Kick rocks. Thank you, girl. And until people are standing outside your little nonprofit offices with like picket signs and like strongly worded emails, make the change. You know what to do best and move on and then get feedback on the change. But again, let's go back one slide. Oops. There's always a Russian judge. There's always a Canadian judge. Some people just had a bad day. I mean, I'm perimenopausal. You catch me on the wrong day at the wrong time, and your survey becomes my life's problem. And I'm here. I'm here. I've got a survey just waiting to go today because someone did not extend me a little bit of a kindness today. And you know what? They are going to get the wrath. They are getting the wrath, right? Probably not, because I'll probably have a gin and tonic and forget about it, but I want to give them the wrath, right? So don't wear yourself out chasing people who could never be happy in the first place. And so you need to listen to your audience, right? Listening to your donors is one of the best things you can do. So don't let anybody steal the opportunity for you to be a good listener. Okay, we have 8 minutes left. Stephanie and I are going to open it up to questions in the Q&A and the chat. I'm going to look at what's there. Hold on, let me pull up multiple screens.
Absolutely.
So listening to your audience is one of the best things you could do. Okay, Stephanie.
No, so can we just give a little love? Just take a moment. Can we give some love? The love has been going, Lynn, as you've seen in the chat the entire time because you're spinning gold here, and we are absolutely love it. It is resonating deeply. I have a question that actually was in the Q&A. They were kind of relating to this a bit, saying sometimes with the rest of their organization, there could be more influential community members that they're looking towards or, wanting their feedback, and they may not always. But I'm kind of thinking, talk to us a little bit about anonymity, Lynn. Are these anonymous surveys? Are they not? Is it an option to be anonymous? What does your expertise tell you there?
A big fan of the anonymous survey. I don't believe that I should have to be identified in order to give my opinion. You'll probably know which one's mine anyway because of all the cuss words in the middle of my response. But I honestly think that anonymity gives you higher service rate, higher rates of response. It really does. And so I think anonymity is a great option. And all my surveys I do are anonymous unless, you know what I mean? Like I'm forced to do otherwise.
I like that. So then that takes away from that person that asked that question, takes away from who their leadership is looking at for, looking at this survey might mean more than another survey. We're not all about that here. And making it anonymous takes that off the plate entirely.
Absolutely. And also, the thing I hear all the time is, well, we're going to survey our major donors and then we're going to apply that to somebody who gives us $100 a year. Yeah, no, those are two different people. Again, let's go back to the airline analogy. You're talking like, uh, first class suite with a door, flying private versus hitching it up and going on Frontier. Not, they're, so one shouldn't dictate the other, right? Just so you've got to know your populations and you've got to segment based on that. And that's why also anecdotal evidence shouldn't be what we apply to everyone. So I'll give you an example. Older people, I hear this myth all the time in fundraising. We have an older donor base. Yes, I understand older people. My parents are 87 and 89. Old people like print. Actually, that's not true and a dangerous stereotype. And when we survey older donors, they actually prefer mobile digital first because this motion right here, they don't prefer print. They don't want crap in their lives they have to throw away. And so it can help you dispel myths. Donors like to see their names in print. When we survey donors and say, does having your name listed in a donor honor roll impact your decision to give? I've never seen a response higher than 7% that says yes. There are people that want print. Print is magical. Print works, especially when it's handwritten or brief or in a postcard form, right? But to say things like, well, we have an older donor base, we have to send out a print survey. I'm like, no, no.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that makes a ton of sense. And something that, you kind of mentioned earlier, the question has come up a few times and you've answered it, but I just want to do a repeat here. There's a lot of concern about, oh, but what if the survey response turnout is low? What if we only have a few people or a small percent? But Lynne shared that it's not about the percentage of people that are responding, it's about the responses you get. So even if it's only a handful of people, if that data is good, if that's helpful, then that's what matters. If you have over time, as Lynne shared, over time, you will have more and more people. Once they're used to seeing them and they're used to getting them, they will respond more and more. But the point is less about the response rate and more about the data that you're getting back.
Also, here's the way I feel about not listening to your donors. So I think everyone wants to be seen. It's a common human trait, right? That a lot of us have in common with each other is the need to feel seen and heard. Imagine if you're the only nonprofit that ever listens to a donor and you're missing that opportunity because our response rates were low. But what I have to say is important, so you're denying me the opportunity to be seen and heard. And if we really believe in diversity, equity, inclusion, belonging, and justice, you never know who out there needs to be seen and heard that day and how you might make a difference in their day.
1000%. Lynne, listen, we are so grateful. Let's give it up one more time for Lynne in the chat. Okay, this has been,
Thank you.
the words people are using are just hilarious, entertaining, helpful, wise. Like there's so many things that
Thanks.
we got from to you today.
I do
Thank
have one thing for our friend Noel, who says, how do
Yes.
we convince old school leadership that listening to donors in this way is an effective strategy? Hey, Noel, what's your first time donor retention rate? I would put the numbers in front of my donors and I would say, we have a retention problem in nonprofit fundraising. We know we do. So part of the reason we have a retention problem is because we actually don't listen. We think we know better than the people who are investing us. And how arrogant of us. So we believe in relationship-based fundraising. I do.
Yep.
And in a relationship, part of a relationship is listening, right? So imagine we're building a relationship with people and we don't care to listen to them. How absolutely absurd is that? And maybe they're so old school they don't listen, but maybe that's not a place I want to work either. So Noel, send me your resume and I'll help you out.
Come on, Noel.
Seriously. LinkedIn, just hit me on LinkedIn. My website, 15,000 samples for you guys to copy and steal on donorrelations.com. Happy to connect with any of you. You can send me an email. But also, I just want to say a huge shout out to the Give Butter crew, Stephanie and Brooke and everyone, and Max, their CEO, is a good friend. And when Maui suffered their fires, I reached out and Give Butter voluntarily um, shared their services at no charge with us and have supported us for more than 2 years, making sure that Maui has had what they need and the community foundation. And so that is the spirit of who we are in nonprofit land versus another company that wanted to charge us $7 million to add records to the database. So that kind of generosity is what makes the world go round. So when Give Butter calls, I'll do anything to help my friends. Plus, I enjoy butter. So not margarine, not oleo, butter, which is a queso or cheese derivative for those of you uh, who know. So thank you everyone for hanging out with us.
Oh, thank you, Lynn. You know you're one of our favorites of all time, and working with you with on the Maui campaign was absolutely amazing. We're so grateful for the work you do there, and everyone here is so grateful for all of the amazing information that you shared today. And hey, we've got, in addition to the resources Lynn shared, we also have some freebies. Okay, so we've got a donor call script template, actually multiple templates there, and communication plan template as well. That is in our freebie, so you can scan those QR codes. And again, these slides are going to come to you, so you can do it then if you want as well. But great resources here for you that we're happy to share. And of course, just a few quick little things before you pop out today. Be sure to sign up for future webinars and office hours sessions hosted by our favorite, wonderful Claudia, to help you on your fundraising journey. Join our Give Butter fam as well with that second QR code. Connect with fellow changemakers in our private community to get exclusive news and support and celebrate each other's successes. And of course, talking about surveys, y'all, we've got one for you. Please do provide your feedback through our own webinar survey. What did you find helpful about the webinar? Are there other topics and guests and resources that you would like to see? As always, we want to hear from you. And with that, we are wrapping our first Changemaker Summer Webinar series with the great Lynn. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Thank you, Lynn, for being here. Have a great rest of your day, everyone, and fly safe, Lynn.